But that's not, ow! Oh yes. Okay everybody, welcome back to another video. So I found this hoodie, it's not mine. It belongs to Buzz Lightyear. No, it doesn't, it belongs to my friend Casey. But it was the inspiration for today's look, because if I'm gonna be 90s from here down, I should be 90s from here up. So we've got some Kimmy Gibbler. Don't bite. Ah! So if you haven't figured out by the title of this video, welcome to Wine and Dine number 2 with my sassy bird, who is molting, and he's very, very irritable. And I'm probably gonna go put him away because I don't feel like getting munched on. So Wine and Dine number 2, which is where I drink wine and talk about things that on which your animals dine. Yeah, so last time we talked about Royal Canin and why I hate them. I'm not a fan. But I don't want this to be a channel where I just bash stuff all day because I'm trying to be a nicer person. I don't know. I want to share some good things as well. So today we're gonna talk about one of my all-time favorite brands. Wow. While my bird just rips me apart. Today we are gonna talk Fromm and why I love Fromm. Quick housekeeping note. Last time I did this, somebody said it was trashy. You know, I want to be transparent with you guys. I hear what you're saying. I take your comments very seriously. You guys know this channel means the world to me. So I have taken your comments to heart and I have gone from red wine to Pinot. That was also not cheap. Yost is a wonderful, wonderful Nova Scotian wine company. From where I used to live, actually. So go support them because they're super classy. I'm not though, I'm trash. All right, let's get into this. There's really only a little bit left in here because I've spent $2,000 on vet bills this month, but that's fine. All right, so to truly appreciate the beauty that is Fromm Family Pet Foods, we must journey back to 1904. The founders of Fromm actually immigrated to the States. Yay, immigration! One time, there was a beautiful man. His last name was Fromm. Okay, so the Fromm family immigrated from Germany to the States. Can't believe I'm doing this. To the States. After a couple different companies and a couple different generations, they ended up getting into the fox business. So they were farming foxes and doing really well. They actually had one litter had like 11 pups in it, which is really successful for foxes. And all of their foxes were free range fur foxes, but they did have like lives. They weren't in battery cages, any of that nonsense. And this was in the early 1900s. After their fox business kind of took off, there was a really big scare where distemper was going around. And the Fromm family were like, well, shit. But they were really ambitious, you know? They didn't mess around. They were like, nah, we can fix this. So Buddy Fromm, one of the family members, made friends with a guy who was a vet, and they went in their little vet science lab and they invented the vaccine for distemper, which is major because that is a vaccine that is still given to pets today. So they're already, before they even got into the pet food world, they were already making like phenomenal strides for the pet industry and for pet owners. So then World War II happens. Take all the cans and they send them to the war in Europe. Bam, no more cans. What are we gonna feed the dogs? So Buddy Fromm is like, that's okay, because we're just gonna get together and make some recipes, build a plant, and we're gonna feed our foxes this dry food that's a compact kibble. So just to be clear, Buddy Fromm, whose name escapes me, he invented the distemper vaccine for cats and dogs, and he invented kibble. Wow! So like, you wouldn't expect the first kibble to be very good, but it was. All of their food is still family owned. They're the same company. They're on like their fourth or fifth generation now. They've never sold, they've never been bought out. They own their own plants, so their food is the only thing that gets processed there, which means that in 100 and some odd years, they've only had one recall, and it was voluntary. And not only that, but it was a quality control recall. So they were concerned that some of their canned dog food had a little bit low vitamin D. It should have been a little higher, and they were like, you know what, guys, nah, we're gonna bring it back because we can do better. So eventually, their pet food kind of took off, and now they don't farm foxes, to my knowledge. We'd have to check. And they've just kind of become, I wish I could say they've become a household name, but they're not as well known in Canada anyway as they should be. Main competitors are Acana and Origin, obviously, because they're basically the Canadian version of Fromm as far as quality ingredients and recipes go. And they're still a really solid food. But what I like about Fromm is the amount of choice, because with Fromm, you have so much choice. With Fromm, they have a grain-free line, they have a grain-in line, and then within both of those lines, they have little sub lines, extras. They have extras. So they have a lot of freedom and a lot of choice, which means that your dog isn't stuck on one formula for the rest of its life. And it also means that if your dog develops an allergy or sensitivity, or if your cat suddenly becomes prone to kidney stones, what have you, they have tons of different formulas. So you can mix and match, transition first. You can mix and match until you find something that works for you. They have a ton of options, and all of them are really solid. Really, the only beef that I have with any of their formulas is their duck, and it used to be duck and sweet potato for dogs, and then they recently changed it to duck a la veg, and now there's a lot less duck in it and more meal. So that's kind of a bummer, but you know, duck is an expensive meat to source. Things change, I get it. So I know with Royal Canin, I talked about why I dislike their branding, which is because it's designed to look like science when it's not. Fromm's is literally just hilarious dog and cat paintings, and obviously everything is marketing, but as far as branding goes, they're just such a tidy brand. It's just pretty, it's nice to look at. So another really awesome thing about Fromm is all of their meat is fit for human consumption. So it's all human grade. When I say that, sometimes people panic and think that I'm saying human meat. Please don't feed your dogs human meat. Just do me a solid. Do your dog a solid. Do the person that you're gonna feed to your dog a solid, and just don't do that. But yeah, so they have really high quality ingredients. Most of them are local to Wisconsin, I believe. Although now that I'm saying that, I feel like maybe I read somewhere that they don't disclose where all of their ingredients comes from. Whatever. You're watching a junk dog food review. No. You're watching a drunk dog food review, so please don't use this as the only research that you do into your dog's food, all right? So a lot of people ask me, why is Fromm so much more expensive than... Today someone asked me why Fromm was more expensive than Kirkland, which is Costco's brand of dog food. And I'll tell you why. Because, ladies and gentlemen, in a world where dog food comes from all kinds of places and is largely unregulated, and you can buy meat from China, put it in kibble, and sell it on another continent, and it's fine, you very much get what you pay for. So part of the reason that Fromm is so much more expensive than, say, like Kirkland or some other ones is because all of the food is it's a much higher concentration of meat and protein per kibble. So they have, I believe their minimum in their kibble is 60% meat, and that doesn't mean that their kibble is 60% protein. People get that mixed up a lot when they see on the bag like, oh, this kibble is 60% meat. It's not 60% protein. That would not be good. That would make for some really, really gnarly poops. It has a higher meat percentage. It means that it has a higher meat percentage per kibble than some of the other foods. So where Iams, for example, or Kirkland may only have like a 20 to 30% meat ratio per kibble, Fromm has significantly higher. So the reason you see that big price jump is because it's higher quality ingredients and it's more of them. The way that that pays off for you is that it means that you can afford to feed less of that food because it's richer. So you can get a lot more bang for your buck. So yeah, it is expensive. It's just like feeding yourself. There's gonna be food that keeps you going that is junk, and then there's gonna be food that gives you that bit of extra and really helps you thrive nutritionally, and it's always gonna run you a little bit more. It's hard because I just want everybody to be able to get the food that they need, and it's hard when you have to put a price tag on that. So another great thing about Fromm is that their smaller bags are actually quite a bit larger than some of the other competing brands bags. So you do get more food for the amount that you're paying, so you can hopefully stretch that bag a little bit farther. And they also do a frequent buyer for a number of stores. So definitely check with your local pet store to see if they're part of a frequent buyer program. And I know, like, for our store, it's if you buy 12 bags, you get the 13th free. So there's always options, and I don't want people, this is gonna devolve so quickly, but I feel really sad when people have to choose between feeding like the absolute best food on the market, which in my opinion is Fromm or like Origin or Acana. It just makes me sad when those aren't achievable for people because of the price tag. So definitely ask around, because a lot of places do offer frequent buyer or something of that nature. The moral of the story is that you should feed your dog the best food that you can because they deserve it, and same with your cats. The other moral of the story is that you should not hate on your pet store because most of your staff are probably trying. Not all of the staff, some of them are no good, but most of them really care. And there are people that have argued this stat with me, including Tyler Ruggie. but I stand by this. I don't think anyone inherently evil goes, I think I'd like to work in a pet store. I think that as a manager, it is your responsibility to make sure that your staff are knowledgeable, and that if they don't care about the information that they're giving to somebody about their pet, then it is your responsibility to find someone who does. And there will always be a pet industry, and instead of focusing on how to dismantle it, because we do need those supplies, guys. Where are you gonna get your care fresh, okay? Instead of focusing on dismantling it, we should be focusing on how we can repair it, and how we can repair the relationship and the trust between pet owners and employees, because most employees are also pet owners. And yeah, and I'm sorry that my bird is being so obnoxious. Please subscribe so that you can hear him be obnoxious on my other videos, because he's like this on all of them. I hope you enjoyed watching him be German, and I hope you enjoyed watching me be sad and alone, as most 28-year-olds like myself try desperately to avoid. But I am my own person, and this is how I choose to live my life. Drunk on a Tuesday night talking about dog food with my bird. It's very serious. I'm going to go to bed now at 9:13 p.m. Thank you for watching.